Girivardhari Yasodanandana Vraja Janarandana Yasodanandana Vraja Janarandana Yasodanandana Vraja Janarandana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Jayam Vishnupada Paramahamsa Vraja Kacharya Ashtota Satashra A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Shri Shri Nitai Sundar Gaurnataraj Ki Jai Shri Shri Danitai Gaurahari Ki Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Agora Premanandi. All glories to this Namo devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vistaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swamiti Namani Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Vicharini Nivasesha Sunyavari Pastachari Shatana. Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. This morning we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 15, text number 9 and 10. 9 and 10. I don't know which verse is on the board.
Yeah, both.
Pardon?
Both.
Both are on the screen. Okay, well, of course you have this electronic screen, so it's very easy. So we'll chant together verse 10, if that's okay. There's no purport as far as I can see, to verse 9. And so we'll go on to 10. We'll try to chant verse number 10 together. Gayam nipakak patiyati karmabhir yajvabhimani bhavid dharma gupta samagata shri sadataspati satang satsevakonyo bhagavat kalamite. Translation. Sukadeva Goswami is continuing to describe the glories of, we have it on the board, King Gaia. Takes the excitement away a little bit when everything's on the electronic board. You can read it there. And not so much of a challenge, but it's good. The great King Gaia used to perform all kinds of Vedic rituals. He was highly intelligent and expert in studying all the Vedic literatures. He maintained the religious principles and possessed all kinds of opulences. He was a leader among gentlemen and a servant of the devotees. Many nice, you could say, praises of King Gaia. Yeah. Wonderful character. Very purifying just to repeat these words. He was a totally qualified, very interesting, he was a totally qualified plenary expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, who could equal him in the performance of gigantic ritualistic ceremonies? Quite a verse. Prabhupada has not given any direct commentary on this verse. In some ways it's, you could say, self-explanatory. In some ways it's just continuation. The rest of the purports are also related to this verse, the glorious qualities of King Gaia. One thing is interesting which occurs here. I'm just looking in the verse itself. Yeah, Bhagavat Kalam. It's also mentioned here. But Bhagavat Kalam refers to the plenary incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I didn't say before, pick that up, that he is a plenary expansion of the Personality of Godhead. I mean, it's Krishna appearing in this particular form for a particular purpose. In this case, manifold reasons, but particularly to show the perfection, you could say, of leadership in society. We'll go on to text 10 and we'll chant it together. Yam abhyasinchan paraya muda satihi satyashisho dakshakanyaha savidbihi yasya prajanam dudude dharashisho nirashisho Gunavatsa Nutodaha Yam Abhyasinchan Parayamudasati Satya Shisho Daksha Kanyak Savidbihi Yasya Pajanam Dudade Tarashisho Narashisho Guna Vatsas Nudodaha Yam Abhyasinchan Parayamudasati Satya Shisho Daksha Kanyak Saridbihi Yasya Pajanam Duduhe Darashisho Nirashisho Guna Vatsas Nudodaha Yam Abhyasinchan Parayamudasati Satya Shisho Daksha Kanyak Saridbihi Yasya Prajanam Duduhe Darashisho Nirashisho Guna Vatsas Nutodaha Yam Abhyasinchan Parayamudasati Satya Shisho Daksha Kanyak Saridbihi Yasya Pajanam Duduhe Darashisho Nirashisho Guna Vatsas Nutodaha Yam Abhyasinchan Parayamudasati Satya Shisho Daksha Kanya Saridbihi Yasya Pajanam Duduhe Darashisho Nirashisho Guna Vatsas Nutodaha Yam Abhyasinchan Parayamudasati Satya Shisho Daksha Kanya Saridbihi Yasya Pajanam Duduhe Darashisho Nirashisho Guna Vatsas Nutodaha. Any ladies? Yam Abhyasinchan Parayamudasati Satya Shisho Daksha Kanya Savidbihi Yasya Prajanam Duduhe Dirashisho Nirashisho Guna Vatsas Nutodaha. Any ladies? Yam. Whom? Abhyasinchan. Bathed. Paraya. With great. Muda. Satisfaction. Satihi. All chaste. And devoted. To their husbands. Satya. True. Ashishaha. whose blessings? Daksha Kanyaha, the daughters of King Daksha. So it be he, with sanctified water. Yasya, whose? Prajanam, of the citizens. Duduhe, fulfilled. Dara, the planet Earth. Ashishaha, of all desires. Narashishaha, although personally having no desire. Guna vatsa snuta udaha, earth becoming like a cow, whose udders flowed upon seeing Gaia's qualities in ruling over the citizens. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. All the chaste and honest daughters of Maharaj Daksha, such as Shraddha, Maitri and Daya, whose blessings were always effective, bathed Maharaj Gaya with sanctified water. Indeed, they were very satisfied with Maharaj Gaya. The planet Earth personified came as a cow, and as though she saw her calf, she delivered milk profusely when she saw all the good qualities of Maharaj Gaya. In other words, Maharaj Gaya was able to derive all benefits from the earth and thus satisfy the desires of his citizens. However, he personally had no desire. Purport: the earth over which Maharaj Gaya ruled is compared to a cow. The good qualities whereby he maintained and ruled the citizens are compared to the calf. A cow delivers milk in the presence of her calf. Similarly, the cow or earth fulfilled the desires of Maharaj Gaya, who was able to utilize all the resources of the earth to benefit the citizens. This was possible because he was bathed in sanctified water by the honest daughters of Daksha. Unless a king or ruler is blessed by authorities, he cannot rule the citizens very satisfactorily. Through the good qualities of the ruler, the citizens become very happy and well qualified. Om Jnana Timrandasya Gananjana Shlakaya Chakshuramalatam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Apitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Svapadantikam. So we're continuing here with the quite extensive description of the qualities of King Gaya. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to relish as if he had thousands of tongues glorifying the devotees. We like to hear the glories of Krishna, his qualities. We read in the various scriptures, Nectar of Devotion and so on, the many qualities of Krishna. Just to hear these qualities is very beneficial, very pleasing to the Lord to hear the devotees glorified. These are real qualities, they are not. Sometimes in this materialistic society we may praise somebody, but the praise may not be, let's say, honest. It may not be true. But in order to obtain some kind of material return, one may praise somebody. Even when Prithu Maharaj was being praised, when he first appeared, he wasn't, let's say, overly accepting the praise because it is not yet manifest. Let's say the qualities are not yet manifest. But the realized souls, those who are spiritually advanced, can perceive, just like we read the qualities of King Parikshit Maharaj in the first canto, Srimad Bhagavatam. We read he's only just appeared. But it can already be seen that he is a reservoir of all good qualities. When Srila Prabhupada appeared also, it was predicted many of his achievements, his qualities, etc., were perceivable through astrology, through palmistry, through various indications or indicators. In this particular case, the qualities of King Gaya are being described here because they are actually manifest. They're manifest. To glorify the devotees is the perfection of the tongue. Perfectionopalam Twadishagata Sangha. To see the devotees, to utilize the tongue upon visualizing or seeing the devotees. The eyes rather, utilize the tongue for glorifying the devotees. Krishna is more pleased when we glorify his devotees than when we directly glorify him. Because the devotees are dear to Krishna, they're more dear than his own self. The Lord explained that to Durvasa Muni. Famous verses are there in the 8th canto, Srimad Bhagavatam, 9th canto, 8th or 9th? 8th? Describing the glories of King Ambarish and how dear those devotees, those pure devotees, even though they may appear as grihastas, the case of King Gaya, the Kshatriya rulers, they may appear to be absorbed in materialistic activities. Everything they're doing is for the welfare or the pleasure of the citizens and for the pleasure of Krishna. Great kings like Maharaj Ambarish, they show the way. Mostly we see that it's through the Kshatriyas that the religious principles are established in society. Yad yadacharati shreshtas tatadivetarojana. They set standards. Arjuna wanted to desist from his responsibilities, also Grihastha Kshatriya ruler. And Krishna was very strongly chastising him. It wasn't so much whether war is good or war is not good. It wasn't because of his very, you could say from the material point of view, justifiable excuses not to fight, but the example which he would set by desisting from his duty. One of the primary responsibilities of a king is to establish the principles of religion, which means to perform one's duty according to the direction of the Shastra, according to Krishna's direction, according to the Varnashram system. So King Gaya was expert in that regards, in showing a wonderful example. Not just a wonderful example that people can imitate, or a wonderful example that people can apply within their own world, within their own nature, their own service, etc. But a wonderful example in the sense that everybody's attraction towards Krishna was evoked by his ruling the kingdom. A wonderful example of selflessness. Usually when we have a position, there is a tendency to be a little bit self-centered, to see oneself a little bit as the enjoyer or proprietor or whatever it is. But here we see, although King Gaya, of course he's a plenary expansion, so obviously he's endowed with the full qualities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The living entities, jivas, that is, we only have 78% of the Lord's qualities, and only in tiny proportion, tiny fraction in quantity. But nonetheless, when one's properly situated in pure behavior, pure consciousness, those qualities shine forth. And as the beautiful comparison is given here, with the earth being manifested as the cow, and as Prabhupada's writing here, the cow naturally gives forth milk in the presence of the calf. And the calf is compared here to the qualities of King Gaia. And this naturally draws the milk, or in the case of the earth, the produce of the earth. We sometimes see, we hear from Srimad Bhagavatam on occasions when the earth did not give forth its fruits and its various products, etc., but was holding them back for various reasons. In Kali Yuga, this will become more and more prominent as sacrifices, that means yogic sacrifices, are not performed. King Gaia was performing, as we hear in this verse, proper sacrifices. He wasn't concocting. And sacrifice Yogi Vaivishnu is meant for the pleasure of Krishna. It's not just meant to try to create a good situation in the world, to obtain wealth or rainfall or progeny or whatever it may be. That may be a secondary aspect, but the primary aspect of devotees, be they Brahmins, kings, or whoever they are, organizing or performing these yajnas, is to please the Lord, knowing that Krishna provides everything ultimately. You don't need to make a separate endeavor. So King Gaia was very excellent. This again is a recurring kind of event throughout the Bhagavatam. Pretty much we see the different types of yajnas by kings, great kings who performed, whether it's King Prithu, whether it's King Ambarish. Sometimes they go a little overboard. We have in the fourth canto King Prachini-Barishat, who was also, he was a pious king in many ways, but he's a bit materialistic, a bit fruitive. He was performing these various yajnas. Now, they may be for various reasons too. There are different types of sacrifices according to the circumstance. But even the Karmakandya yajnas have their part to play. King Prachini-Barishat was a little bit materialistic. So he was performing them all over the place. And the purpose wasn't just name and fame, become famous for performing so many yajnas. It was for the welfare of the citizens, and it was according to the Shastic injunction how to do it. But it was too materialistic. It wasn't aimed at the real purpose of Yogi Vaivishnu. Whereas King Gaia, he's performing these sacrifices for the pleasure of the Lord, which automatically includes the pleasure of the citizens. Prabhupada himself, why in this movement he wanted to see everybody happy, not just in this movement, but in the whole world. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu introduced his Sankirtan Yagya Sankirtanam Praya Yujanti Hisu Medasaha, so that everyone could become happy and peaceful, no longer harassed by the effects of Kali Yuga, no longer harassed by their own hankerings and lamentations, their own desires, etc. But so people could become satisfied. Naturally, when things are done for the pleasure of Krishna, and Prabhupada gives them many simple examples of feeding the stomach, the whole body is nourished. So when we offer sacrifice for the pleasure of Krishna, all of Krishna's energies are naturally nourished. The jivas, being part and parcel of God, are naturally satisfied. Nice example is there of Draupadi. It's a little different, but the same principle is there. When Durvasa Muni came with his 60,000 disciples, and Krishna, of course they were in a very embarrassed situation. The Pandavas had just taken their meal. Draupadi had this special pot, which she had received, also from Devas, I think from Devas, which could produce unending quantities of foodstuffs. As long as they'd not taken their own food, it would produce. But they'd just taken their meal, so it wasn't the time. So then Devasa turned up very hungry with his 60,000 disciples. And he's known to be sometimes a little bit, gets angry a little bit easy. He's also an expansion of Lord Shiva, so that aspect is in him. So, what to do? So they went to take their bath, and they expected to come back for a full feast, but there was nothing. Krishna appeared to save the situation and said to Draupadi, just look on the pot. If there's anything left at all, now we washed the pot, but there was one little tiny speck of vegetable. So she offered that to Krishna. And immediately Devasa and all of his followers felt their bellies swelling up. They became bloated. And they became embarrassed. They thought, God, we can't go back to the Pandavas' abode, that place where they're staying in the forest. It'll be so embarrassing. They've invited us for lunch, and we can't eat anything. We're full. So they just went the opposite way and left. They went away. Similarly, all the, you can say, problems, if you want to call it that, whatever challenges an artist, when we take shelter of Krishna, they're dissipated. Just like the sun, when the sun rises in the sky, the fog, the darkness, everything is removed. This is the secret of putting Krishna in the center, which is the real lesson. Good behavior, everything is very attractive. The earth is very happy and naturally produces all the needs of society. This earth, Prabhupada said, can produce so much more than what we sometimes think there's a shortage. It's not really a shortage. The earth is producing according. It's amazing that it's producing as much as it is, considering what's going on. The number of cows that are being slaughtered every day. 8 billion. 8 billion. That's the population of the human society. 8 billion other living entities are killed for human consumption a day. All kinds of animals and fishes and birds, even insects, maybe more if you count the insects. I don't think they have a status, what do you call it? Statistic for the insects. But for eating purposes, 8 billion other living entities are killed by humans for consumption every day. That's one per person. Be it a cow, a chicken, a dog. Not so many dogs, maybe. Not so many, maybe some. I don't know if there's a statistic for that one. But mostly fishes. The fishes every day, over 7 billion fishes are killed for human consumption. And many birds. I think birds are next. It's a miracle, in a sense, that the earth's producing anything. Isn't it? Considering the sins that are going on, and sometimes in the name of religion. There's so much, and so many other things. Intoxications, illicit sex. You're hearing yesterday, there's, every day, every single day there's nearly 200,000 abortions take place. Children. I think Krishna Balai, someone saying yesterday how, the other species, they don't treat their children like this. They don't kill their children in the womb. It's unbelievable. Some of us may have even been involved in all of these things at some point of our ignorance. There's total ignorance in this world. Where are the qualities? Where are those qualities? Even Prabhupada, is that a beautiful, how did that verse go? No. Devarshi Bhuta, no, there's another verse, what is it? Yasyatma Buddhi, no? Yasyasti Buddhi Kunapetu Tadakes, Vidika Tradishubom Entity. No? Anyway, whatever it is, Yasyatma Buddhi. There's another verse which describes how all the good qualities of the demigods awaken in the presence of a devotee. One who's a devotee of the Lord develops all the good qualities of the demigods. That's those fixed, not just the passionate demigods, but the real servers, those who are actually qualified devotees. Develop in the presence or in personality of the devotee, one who's surrendered to Krishna. They automatically manifest. They're maybe in a latent form, they're dormant form in this present situation. They're qualities of a pure soul. They automatically appear. You don't need to make a separate endeavor for them. They're already there. They're just covered over by the modes of nature, perverted. They all develop. They're all present in a pure devotee. Whereas those who are not devotees have no good qualities. You may say they appear to have good qualities. They appear to be, materially speaking, they have good qualities. Maybe better than we seem to have sometimes. They may be very kind. We can learn from it, by the way. It doesn't mean we try to imitate. But we can learn from these things also. Also Krishna's energy. But Prabhupada describes, even, give the credit to the doubt, even if they have good qualities, Prabhupada said, what's the use of them? What's the use of those qualities? They simply further entangle us in the material world. There is no real value. Anything that doesn't lead to a release from this material birth and death, relief from ignorance, etc. What is the use of it? It's like you're in a prison house. Maybe we visited, maybe some of us have spent time in a prison. Many devotees have spent time in prison for various reasons. Have you spent time in prison, Krishna Baladev?
Yeah. Before devotee.
Pardon?
Before being a devotee.
Really? Wow. What's that mean? A weed? Too many weeds, huh? As long as you're attached to weeds, you'll stay in the prison house. I guess that's, was that in Portugal?
Yeah.
Portugal. You don't have to worry now, it's legal in many countries now. You can buy it. You can buy these things in the shops in many European countries now. But in those days it was illegal, and if you happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time with the wrong thing, you could end up at least for some time in prison. But as devotees, many times we ended up in prison, many times. I've been in prison in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, at least 5 countries. At least 5. For different reasons. Interesting. Sometimes we would get arrested every single day. In England, on Harinam, Sankirtan, we get arrested every day. Literally every day. Put you in the jail for a while, then charge you, come back the next day to the court, get fined, go straight back on Sankirtan, get arrested again, put you in the jail, charge you, go out again, start chanting as soon as we got out of the jail. And the next day, the same thing in the court, fined. We never pay the fines, never. We all give our names as Mr. and Mrs. Das. The police would come regularly, but we're looking for, there's a court order of arrest for Mr. Das. Which one's Mr. Das? Everyone's Mr. Das. Mr. Das has a bald head and wears orange dresses. They all look the same. The judge couldn't tell the difference between one and the other. I remember Sakshi Gopal were one of our devotees. Who has given you the authority to go? Lord Chaitanya has given us the authority. The judge said, Lord who? Lord who? Lord Chaitanya. Because we're so bold, it didn't make no difference. We chant in the prison. There was one, what do you call it, station sergeant of one police department in London. There were different police stations in different places, and they had no jurisdiction. So on this side of the road, it was that police station. On that side of the road, it was that police station. So when we saw the police coming there, we'd run to the other side of the road. And they're not allowed to go there, in their jurisdiction. They call the other police, and then there'd be this thing. We would go in 3 or 4 different directions, and the police were running after us, confusing. It was complete confusion. But anyway, this guy in Marylebone police station, he loved us. He told his constables, he said, make sure you arrest them every day. And anyway, as soon as we get in the police station, come on boys, sing, sing, sing. He'd have us singing away in the police station like anything, in the cell. Sings. He loved to hear the singing. He liked it. Kind of entertained. It's kind of funny, but we had many other arrests which weren't like that. They were for different reasons, and sometimes heavier reasons, much heavier. But anyway, whatever it is, the material world is a prison. And is it the goal of being in a prison to be comfortable in the prison? Is that your goal? Maybe now, I don't know. But not normally. Normally the goal of being why do prisoners escape? Maybe they try to escape usually, don't they? It's a common thing, they try to break out of jail. Probably less now. Jails are not so austere. They're still austere in this country, isn't it? They're very austere here. The prisons are quite hellish here. But in the West, they're not. I mean, there are some, but generally speaking, they're not. They're like, they're like hotels where you can't go out for a walk. In many cases. You've got the sports room, you've got a swimming facilities, you've got, you can even see your girlfriend on occasion. They can come in sometimes. You get all sorts of television, all sorts of facilities are there. It's quite comfy. You don't have to work much. You can get weed very easily in the prison, by the way. It's a fact. I went to see one devotee's son who was arrested for various things. In Australia a few years ago, I went to see him in jail. And I said, because he was a bit into the same thing, into weed and what have you. And I don't know how it came up, but I asked him, how is it, for him, it was it difficult for him there? He said, no, the problem is, it's much easier to get it here than it is outside. Much easier, he said. Strange. What type of prison is that? Anyway, that's the material world. We don't really go into prison just to get material facilities. You can play a good part, you can be a good boy or girl, and you might get a bit of extra perks from the jailers. They might give you extra cigarette or give you extra spare time or a nicer bed to sleep in or something, but you're still in the jail. You're still in the jail. It's not the goal of life just to make the jail a nice place. Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj, don't forget it's the 150th anniversary of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati's Avirbhav in a few weeks' time. I don't know the exact date, in February sometime. It's late February. I think so. Yeah. Late February, yeah. Sometime in late February. Everything's late now because this year is late because of the, Purushottam Mass. Everything's become a few weeks later than usual. He actually appeared on February the 2nd, but it's all later this year. On our count, late it comes, it's later this year. So it's sometime in the later part of February. And he said, this world is no fit place for a gentleman. Do your business and get out. You don't try to make a toilet like a palace. People do nowadays. You go in a toilet and there's a nice cushion on the lid, this lid. You have to wash it regularly because you probably pee on it regularly as well. But it's a cushion, nice soft. I don't know if they do this in the Philippines, but in the West oftentimes it's a nice carpets in there, aircon. Even they've got a video or something in there so you can sit there watching. And it's a comfortable place. People try to make it very nice. My father used to really like going to the toilet. Some intimate information here. Confidential. He's passed away. I hope you'll forgive me revealing these secrets of life. He said one time, he says, the only time he gets a bit of peace. Nobody bothers him when he's in the toilet. Although sometimes people even bother you when they're in the toilet. You can ask it, Mukadambakama just passed away too, but he would tell that story of how people would bang on the door when he was the manager of the Vrindavan temple. Even though he was in the toilet, they'd still bang on the door. I need to speak to you right now. I'm in the toilet. That's all right, I can still speak to you even if you're in the toilet. No peace. King's duty is to try to arrange society so people do feel a certain amount of peace, even though we're in this prison. You don't feel harassed and uncomfortable. You have what you need. And you have the process to get out of the prison. So, and my father used to love to read the newspaper. He would stay there for an hour reading the newspaper in the toilet. Nectar, huh? Really enjoy yourself in there. Anyway, so many stories about toilets, but it's not a fit place for a gentleman. And here we see Maharaj Gaya described here. How would it say something about gentlemen in this very verse? Huh? Where was that? We read it just now. Somewhere. How he was able to, here it is, a leader. He was a leader among gentlemen. The previous verse 9. He was a leader among gentlemen. We're not here just to become gentlemen, but by nature, a devotee is a gentleman. Prabhupada gave that as a characteristic of a devotee. He was asked one time, how do you tell he was a Vaishnava? And Prabhupada said a Vaishnava is a real gentleman. He's a gentleman. He behaves in a gentlemanly way. Because he's not controlled. As long as we're controlled by the modes of nature, it's controlled by Krishna. As long as we're controlled by our senses, controlled by our minds and our material desires, you can't really be a gentleman. It's all artificial. Have a nice day. You go to some parts of the famous country on the Western Hemisphere, and everyone speaks very nicely. Welcome, have a nice day. But it's all a facade, You know that country, Bharat. You have a relative who lives there. It's a big country, famous country, wealthy country. Anyway, I don't know. But they treat you they speak very nicely, but it's a facade. It's all for material reasons. You go to Disneyland, everyone's so nice, but it's all illusion. Just to fulfill a material purpose, to keep you in illusion. To make you think this is a nice place. Maya's tricking us. But we're in a prison. You're bound up by the modes of nature. Forced to take birth after birth. Isn't it? You have no freedom. Not really. How much freedom you have is very limited. And even that only keeps us in bondage. It doesn't actually free us. The purpose of leadership, whether it's that of the Brahmins or the Kshatriyas or anyone who's taking a role, is to release, to lead in such a way as to take the living entities, or give them a chance to get out of this material world forevermore. This is a real example that King Gaya wasn't just making the prison a nice place. He wasn't just performing yajnas so that people could live a better life or go to heaven or something. He was actually doing it for the ultimate benefit of the citizens, so that they may go back to Godhead. And that's the purpose of this movement, this ISKCON movement. isn't it? It's not just to make a nice, comfortable place, a joint mess, sometimes Prabhupada would say. It's not just to make a situation where we can feel good. It's to create an atmosphere which enables us to let go, to give up this attachment to this world and become attached to Krishna and go back to Godhead. If you ask an audience of devotees, who wants to go back to Godhead? How many of you would put your hands up? Who wants to go back to Godhead? Some hands are not very high. Some hands are very high. Some are worried that there might be some clause or some condition involved here. And if I volunteer for this, I might be subjected to some... I think I'm not quite sure if I want to be subjected to it. Well, what's the price of going back to Godhead? There are two ways of looking at this. One is the positive, and one is, you could say, the negative. So what's the positive price? Well, no, that's not a price, that's the result. The positive price, what you have to pay to go back to Godhead. Full surrender, or lolium. What is lolium? Intense greed. And it means intense greed. It doesn't just mean, when you're suffering in the world, you become a little greedy about surrendering to Krishna. It's a constant factor. It's not just one caused by some circumstantial situation. It's not conditional, though. It's the development of this intense greed, which is there's no break in it. It's unbroken. Lolium. That's a positive one, which I don't think we really have. There's maybe a little bit there. No doubt we wouldn't be here, but it's not that intense. We're not that, absolutely convinced this is all there is. But what's the other side? They go hand in hand. What's the price? Pardon? Somebody said something, you may have been right, I just didn't, I heard atch, I didn't hear anything else. What was that? Detachment. Detachment, yes. You could, if we take the two together, you could say, if we take that further, it could be said to be detachment. There's a beautiful song by Narottam Das Thakur, isn't it? Vishaya choriya serase majiha. No, that's Lochan Das. Vishaya choriya kabe shudha bimam kabe hamahe rabo. What's the next word? Shri Vrindavana. You want to go to Vrindavan? What is the price? We have to be Vishayachari. We have to be willing to give up material sense gratification. Now, when you say detachment, it's not complete in a sense. It's got to be accompanied by something else. Just simply giving up sense gratification is not in of itself enough. The monists, the impersonalists, they may also give up sense gratification. But that doesn't entitle them to go back to Godhead, at least not to Krishna, maybe Brahman. But for a devotee, giving up sense gratification means utilizing everything in the service of Krishna. We may not have the intense greed, but we have some faith. It's another price, isn't it? Oh, breakfast time. Can I have my breakfast? Yeah, you've got to give me my breakfast before you go. I gathered up my breakfast last night. I got some very nice juice yesterday. We're going to, if you want, we can share it with all of you. It's free. We collected this in the garden, right there in the. Somebody left behind this fresh buko juice. Very nice, fresh, very fresh. I picked a bottle up. They must have forgotten it on Sunday feast or something, and left it there. Which Sunday feast, I'm not sure. Maybe a few years ago. Here it is. Fresh buko juice sitting right on the floor in the fountain yesterday, and it's become very fresh. It's even got a plant growing in the top. So the plant has now fallen into the water. It's very fresh. If anyone wants, it is from the holy dam. It's water from the holy dams. It must be Maha water. If anyone wants a drop afterwards, we can distribute it to everyone. You can take your drop. And the bottle is also a holy bottle. It's been sitting there for years, maybe months or years. It's hard to tell. But it's been sitting out there for a long time, I can guarantee you that. It does stand up, even though it's a bit deformed. It stands nicely there, Leaning Tower of Pizza or something. Leaning Tower of Buko juice. And I got some nice sandwiches for breakfast this morning. As I was walking up here next to the footpath there, I've got this beautiful sandwich. Everyone's welcome to have a little piece of this Maha Prasadam. Here it is. Fresh, very fresh styrofoam. I sat there on the path as I'm walking to the temple this morning. So this is available for one and all if you want some Maha. You're welcome. Now, how long did it take me to collect this? Less than it took you to go and buy a bottle of buko juice, I can tell you that. It took me no time at all. Absolutely none. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. In the bin, boop, there you go. There's no bin. Okay, anyway. How long did that take? No time at all. Did it take any time? Oh, no time. Just get a place where we can drop it, and we'll drop it in there. That's all. And everyone can do that. Everyone. It takes no time at all. Simple as that. Oh no, I better phone up the cleaner. There's some garbage down here. It takes 2 minutes to phone up the cleaner. 1 day for the cleaner to come. Maybe an hour for him to pick it up. It takes no time for us to pick it up. Not even 1 second. Simple. Does it make sense or not?
Yes.
And what's the effect of that? You have a problem, what to do with it next. Okay, that's another subject. In the bin it goes. Now what do we do with the bin? That's another topic. Let's look at the positive side. It changes your consciousness. It makes this beautiful property. It will make Giridhari Maharaj happy if this property is cleaner. It'll make Krishna happy. It'll make you happy. The public will be impressed. All purposes can be served. It's a yajna. It's a sacrifice which satisfies everyone. Think about it. Your consciousness will improve. Be surprised. You become conscious that this is Krishna's property. It's not mine. It's not ours. We're staying here by the mercy of Prabhupada, by the mercy of Giridhari Maharaj, by the mercy of the devotees, by the mercy of Krishna, whatever is mercy. We're here. We're here. But we want to stay here. We want to make this place like the spiritual world, pure. Simple little thing. We can't see the internals, but we can see the externals. If we can't deal with the externals, how do we expect to deal with the internals? We talk a lot about cleansing the heart, this, that, the other, which is true. But if we don't clean outside, it's not going to have an effect. It won't work. It doesn't work. The two are inseparable in one sense, but you can't just jump over that which we can relate. That's why in the Varnashram system, much emphasis is placed upon you could say, the externals. Playing a proper role, doing it properly, following the rules of that particular status of life, etc. So we're supposed to be setting an example. This movement is supposed to be the leader, isn't it? We're supposed to be showing society by example. We're supposed to be gentlemen and Gentle women. Don't get off the hook. It includes you. Right? Find out what that means. Especially amongst devotees. Learning how to encourage and treat devotees with love. Gentlemen. They're not just, I'm in charge, do what I say. Don't like you. How to encourage the devotees to move forward. We're all coming from different backgrounds, with different anarthas. We all have our different habits. But little things like this can bring a little bit of, we discussed that yesterday, a little unity. We all get the same principle. This is, anyone can do this. We shouldn't remain in a shudra mentality, or less. Otherwise, how on earth is society going to be picked up? If we're the worse example than people around us. It's not what Prabhupada wanted. At least this is a small thing, but it's a big thing. It's even with money. I mean, yo, Prabhu, that only costs, I say sometimes to both of you, why, you should don't waste it. Throwing away bits of vegetables that can be used and this and that. Well, it only costs 10 pesos. Or 1 peso or whatever. Yeah, but if you apply that principle to everything you do, you're talking of a lot of waste. Because you're going to do that with everything, whether it's electric lights, whether it's, paper, whatever it is, you're going to waste it. This is a waste society. We're not talking of, putting actual waste in the garbage here. We're talking about things that could be actually utilized. Isn't it? A leader shows the example. Nothing should be wasted. Time is another factor, but that's not so measurable in terms of vision. But whatever it is, don't waste it. So much waste. Food. So much food. Ooh, throw it away. Take as much as you can on your plate and throw half of it away. Feed the rats. Right? Throw it in the garden somewhere and the rats come. Right? I don't know about here, but in the West it's like that. We waste so much, and then you have to cook again. More. And you have to buy more, and it takes more time to buy more, and it takes more money, which somebody has to spend more time collecting. And then you're begging from someone else who then has to give money to, it's a vicious circle. Someone's complaining on the phone, I think. Think about it. Don't waste. So much money is wasted. You're unbelievable. One of the reasons people are rich is because they know the art of not wasting things. They know how to utilize things, and they don't waste. Oftentimes, poor people are poor because they waste things. They don't know how to use it. They just waste it away. As soon as they get money, they drink and smoke and take weed and things like that. No disrespect. They don't know what to do with it, Gamble. If they don't have much to start with. But if we utilize what we've got more efficiently, believe me, Krishna will give more. He reciprocates. But if we're wasting, why should he give us? Why should he give it? It's like if you have a child. If the child misuses things all the time, you're not going to give the child the same thing and have it, burn the house down or something. Obviously not. So Krishna's watching. He's seeing what we're doing with his property, what he's doing with the gifts, with our body, what we're doing with it. He's looking to see what we're doing with what he's given us. But because we still think it's mine and I can do what I like with it, this is a horrible argument. People use this argument, with abortion these days a lot. Huh? It's a big thing. It's my body. I can do anything I like with it. It's so sinful. It's so demoniac. So ignorant. But they're completely in ignorance. In one sense, it's not their fault. It's the leader's fault for not educating people. No one's educated. But if we behave in the same way, then nothing will change. Kali Yuga is just going to progress at a rapid rate, or someone else is going to do it, and we're going to be left in somewhere else. So it's our opportunity. Vraja Eco Village is a beautiful place and a gorgeous opportunity. It's been developed very nicely. Now make it even better. And keep it nice, as we discussed a lot yesterday with various devotees. Maintenance as being the biggest challenge in many ways. In many ways, biggest challenge we have in our lives is maintaining standards, maintaining spiritual standards, maintaining the property, maintaining whatever like that. It's a challenge. But try to work together, make this the spiritual world. You had your Hare Krishna paradise in Cebu before, was that right? You were there, you know all about that. This may not be called a Hare, but at least make this eco farm. Don't put the name there if it's not actually eco. What does eco mean? What does it mean? Pardon? Ecological. I'm not sure if that's ecological or not, but probably not.
That's archaeological.
Huh?
That's archaeological.
Astrological?
It's so old already.
It's very old, ancient. It's probably been on the property for longer than some of you. Turned brown. It looks like I thought at first it was a piece of bread. What to do? Simple things. If you can just learn one little practical thing like this, there's some value in what we're saying. Just think about it. If there's 40 of you in this room, 35, 40. If every one of us, when we walk back to our room now, picks up a piece of, chocolate paper some kid has thrown on the floor, or you've thrown on the floor, or someone's thrown on the floor, and puts it in a bin and puts it in a bag and arrange some system to get rid of all this stuff. Arrange a recycling. Eco means you have to recycle. You have to get into the habit of recycling things. Plastic goes in one place. Wood goes in a different place. Paper, maybe with wood, I don't know. Different places. And metal and glass. I just picked up a piece of sharp glass on the windowsill this morning. That was there since Sunday. I know how it got there. I just didn't know who put it there or where it went, but I know it broke on the floor. Someone broke their bottle on the floor. A piece of the broken glass is sitting over there. And if a kid picks it up, what's going to happen? If it's your kid, you'll not be very happy. Right? And it's sitting there. It's not long. It's only a couple of days now. But bear these things in mind, As Krishna Baladev said, be careful where you walk. If you walk off the path, sometimes you walk on the grass, you're taking a risk. There's something sticking out the grass or something. Okay, that's been there from the building time or whatever. We should be careful. Going to brush your teeth. Got to take prashadam. It's getting late. But, it's so impressive what you're doing here. But at the same time, let's make it more pleasing to Krishna. Let's make it more pleasing to Prabhupada. Let's make it more pleasing to everyone. Lead. Be a gentleman. Keep clean. Keep the property clean. Don't waste time. Don't waste whatever Krishna's giving us. Somebody works very hard maybe to get the money and whatever it is. I don't know how it works. But don't waste it. Prabhupada used to go around to the manor. He would get so upset if he saw a light on when there was no one in the room. As I mentioned yesterday, we went down the laundry room. 2 or 3 of them, there's no one there. There's probably been no one there for days. 2 or 3 lights were on. You say, it's solar panel. It's not so much that. It's the mentality. You have to change your mentality. And if you don't practice this, the mentality will not change. It will remain in the mode of ignorance. How can you go back to God in the mode of ignorance? You cannot. Not possible. We have to come at least to goodness. At least. Make sense or not? You know, we go carefully, we enthusiastically, it's kirtan, Prabhu, it's kirtan. We walk straight past, and even walking here this morning, not really rubbish, but children's things all over the grass. Anyone can pick it up. It's not difficult. I know where it's supposed to go. We just put it on the platform where the children play out here, that's all. These little square block things that you piece together, a little man who has these hands that go like this, you know, all sorts of different things on the lawn or hanging out in the temple room here. Put it where it's meant to go, that's all. That's all that Krishna consciousness is. Putting things where they're meant to be. That's what it means. The Krishna consciousness movement is a revolution. But it's a what does revolution mean? It means to return things to where they came from. That's the actual meaning. And that's what Krishna consciousness movement's for. To go back where we belong. We practice on the material level by putting things where they're meant to be. So if you know where they're meant to be, and if you don't, ask. But at least you know they're not meant to be there. This bottle was not really meant, maybe somebody thought it should be. It's been sitting in that fountain for God knows how long. And every day if you walk past it, you will see it. I don't know how it got there. Maybe someone threw it there from the garden. I don't know, but it's been sitting around on the property most likely for quite a while. Just bear that in mind. Everyone can play their part. This is designated. This movement is for cleansing the world, conscious-wise and otherwise. So take advantage. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. And don't forget, Lord Chaitanya said, religious principles are established by the behavior or the character of the devotee. They're not some dogmatic imposition. They're by behavior, they're by example. Show the example. Become a leader. Everyone. Little thing, very simple, and joyful. Okay? Is that all right? Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Gaur Premanandi. Okay. I'm going to see what it tastes like. Is that okay? I only said see. I didn't say I'm going to drink it. I said I'm going to see. It's not too bad. Here you go. Who wants this? Who wants this Mahaprasad? Who's going to take the Mahaprasad? Come on. Pass it around. There you go. There you go. Mahaprasad. There you go.